Your body's been screaming the same truth for years, but you keep missing it. That chronic tension in your jaw, the stubborn stiffness in your hips, they're not separate problems. There's a hidden energetic connection that ancient healers understood, but modern medicine ignores. When you finally see how these 2 points mirror each other, you can unlock years of trapped emotion and energy in minutes. Are you ready to hear what your body's been trying to tell you? There is a silent truth your body has been waiting for you to understand, a secret conversation held between 2 seemingly distant parts of your own form. What if the stiffness in your hips is merely an echo of the words your mouth will not speak? What if the ache deep in your sacrum is the weight of a truth you swallowed long ago? This is not poetry. It is a map. A map to a freedom you have forgotten is possible. Picture your jaw for a moment, not as bone and muscle, but as a lock. Feel the tension there, perhaps a familiar, dull ache you've learned to ignore. This lock is forged from the thousands of moments you chose silence. The no that caught in your throat, the fierce boundary you failed to draw, the vulnerable desire you decided was too risky to voice. Every repressed word, every unspoken piece of your truth did not simply vanish. It became dense. It became tension, a heavy energy that clamped your jaw shut, not just to the world, but to your own expression. This is the first gate. Now, travel down the center line of your body, following the current of that silent, stuck energy. Where does it lead? It pools in the basin of your pelvis, the foundational bowl of your hips. If your jaw is the lock, your hips are the prison. This sacred center, the seat of your creativity, your movement, and your deepest sense of grounding, becomes a holding cell for all the life you have refused to live. The desires you've denied, the paths you didn't take, the passionate expressions you deemed too much, they are all held here, frozen in the connective tissue that wraps around your bones. You feel it, don't you? That feeling of being stuck. It's not just in your career or your relationships. It is a physical reality. It's the sensation of wading through thick mud just to get through the day. It's the stiffness when you rise in the morning, a body already braced for a battle it has been fighting for years. This connection between the jaw and the hips is one of the body's most profound secrets. When the gate of expression is locked at the top, the creative life force has nowhere to flow. It solidifies. It becomes the physical burden you carry, a quiet, cellular form of grief for the self you have kept caged. The body does not lie. That ache, that tension, is the physical evidence of your own unexpressed truth. But here is where the story changes. Here is where the possibility of release begins. That pain you feel is not a punishment. The stiffness is not a sign that you are broken. It is a call, a desperate, loving, and persistent message from the deepest part of you. Your body has been trying to get your attention, creating symptoms just loud enough to make you finally stop and listen. It is inviting you into a conversation that has been waiting for you your entire life. The ache in your hips is not the enemy. It is the starting point of your liberation. It is the echo of a powerful voice that has been repressed, a vital energy that has been locked away. This is your invitation to find the key, to turn it in the lock of your jaw, and to finally set yourself free from a prison you never consciously knew you were building. The journey to release begins not with forcing, but with listening. Are you ready to hear what your body has been trying to tell you? This conversation begins with a simple act of attention. Place one hand on your jaw and the other on the front of your hip. Close your eyes. Just feel. These 2 points on your body are not separate islands. They are the polar ends of a single, deeply intelligent, energetic axis. They are mirrors. The way your jaw clenches under stress is the very same pattern of holding that locks your hip flexors into a state of permanent defense. The subtle grinding of your teeth in your sleep is the echo of a pelvis that has become rigid forgetting its natural, fluid rhythm. This is the body's law of correspondence. As above, so below. Your body is a single, unified story, and the tension held in one chapter inevitably affects the outcome of the next. When your voice is cut short, when the raw, honest words of anger, or need, or boundary are swallowed, they do not dissolve into nothingness. That energy for every word is a unit of life force, has to go somewhere. It travels down, a silent, powerful current of repressed truth, seeking a container. It finds its home in the deep bowl of your sacrum, the sacred bone at the base of your spine. Here, that vibrant, expressive energy becomes dense. It cools. It congeals. It becomes the frozen tension that grips your core. This isn't merely muscular. It is a profound spiritual block. The life force that is meant to flow through you, to animate your creativity and your passion, becomes stuck. It creates an internal dam, and you are left living off a trickle of the vitality that is rightfully yours. The feeling of being perpetually exhausted, of being disconnected from your own drive, is the direct consequence of this frozen, unexpressed energy held deep within your hips. Let's make this real. Bring to mind a specific moment from your life when you stayed silent to keep the peace. Perhaps it was at a family dinner, a meeting at work, or with a partner. A moment when your truth rose up in your throat, a clear and resonant no, or a vulnerable, "This is what I need," but you pushed it back down. You chose the path of least resistance, telling yourself it was the safer, smarter, or kinder thing to do. Hold that memory. Feel the emotional charge of it. Now, where does that memory live in your body right now? Can you feel the faint, familiar clenching in your jaw muscles? Can you trace the echo of that silenced expression down into your core? Is there a dull ache, a deep stiffness, a sense of impenetrable weight in your hips? That is not a memory. It is a presence. That single choice, and the thousands of others like it, have been physically woven into the fabric of your being. The trauma of self-abandonment is stored in your connective tissue, a constant, low-grade tension that dictates how you move through the world. And here is the truth that can change everything. The physical pain, the stiffness, the feeling of being locked in your own body, that is only the surface symptom. The real wound, the one this connection points to, is the profound sense of disconnection you feel from your own life. That nagging feeling that you are not fully here, that your true self is somewhere just out of reach, is not a psychological flaw. It is a physiological reality. You are, in a very real sense, fractured. Your expressive voice is severed from your creative center. This hidden link between your jaw and your hips is the very source of that rift. And recognizing this, truly grasping it, ignites a fire. It is the sudden, startling realization that you have been living in a cage of your own making. And with that realization comes a powerful, undeniable need to heal this internal divide, to melt the frozen energy, and to finally reclaim the full resonant expression of who you are meant to be. This feeling, this fire to reclaim your true expression, is not new. It is an ancient echo, a resonance that travels through time, carried in the cellular memory of your own body. This understanding of the sacred link between your jaw and your hips is not a modern psychological theory. It is a piece of forgotten wisdom, a map revered by traditions that saw no separation between the physical form and the spirit. Journey back for a moment, far from the noise of the modern world, to the quiet wisdom of the Nile. In the temples of ancient Egypt, the body was understood as a living scripture, a physical manifestation of the soul's journey. The mouth, the jaw, was the portal through which worlds were created. A word spoken with intention was an act of magic, a force that could shape reality. It was the gatekeeper of truth. To silence one's truth was not merely an act of social convenience. It was a profound disruption of cosmic order, an act that locked the creative power of the universe from flowing through you. And where did that locked energy go? It descended, as it does in you, to the base of the spine. They revered this area, calling the triangular bone at the foundation of your pelvis the sacrum, the sacred bone. This was no accident of language. They saw the hips and sacrum as the very throne of creation, the source of life force, the foundation from which all generative, passionate, and vital energy springs forth. It was the seat of your power to bring new life into the world, not just in the form of children, but as art, as purpose, as your unique expression of being. In these Hermetic and Egyptian traditions, trauma was not just an emotional wound. It was a physical event, an unspoken truth, a repressed desire, a moment of profound self-abandonment. These were seen as energetic signatures that would physically lodge themselves deep within the body's tissues. They were understood to congeal in the jaw and solidify in the pelvic bowl, creating a blockage, a dam against the divine current. This stuck energy was more than just a source of physical pain. It was the primary obstacle to spiritual growth, preventing the soul from fully inhabiting its vessel. Picture the sages of these ancient schools. Imagine them not as distant figures in stone reliefs, but as living, breathing healers working with this exact dilemma. See them guiding a person through rituals of release, using resonant sounds to vibrate the tension from a locked jaw, using deep, intentional breaths to send waves of warmth and life back into frozen hips. They knew that to free the body was to free the spirit. They performed rites designed to melt the physical armor of repressed expression, to realign the physical form with the soul's purpose, and to reopen the channels so that life's creative energy could flow unimpeded from sacrum to speech. And here is the revelation that should land with the force of an earthquake in your own body. This ancient knowledge is not a historical curiosity. It is a living diagnosis of the very state you find yourself in. The tightness in your jaw, the unyielding stiffness in your hips. It is the same spiritual and energetic blockage that these ancient traditions dedicated themselves to releasing. You are carrying the same sacred wound. This realization is the twist in your own story. It transforms your pain from a personal, isolating problem into a profound connection with a timeless human journey. The key to unlocking your own frozen state has been waiting for millennia. A powerful sense of reverence begins to dawn, and with it, an undeniable urgency. The wisdom you need is not in a book. It is encoded in the very tension you feel. It is time to reconnect with this inheritance, to listen to the ancient story your own body is waiting to tell you. This ancient map, once written in stone and spirit, is now being traced by the precise instruments of modern science. The intuitive connection you feel is not a relic of a bygone era. It is a biological reality, a hardwired circuit within your own nervous system. The forgotten wisdom of the sacred connection between jaw and hips is being rediscovered, not in dusty temples, but in the quiet rooms of osteopaths and the laboratories of neuroscientists. Here, the mystical becomes tangible. There is a river of information flowing through you at all times, a vast wandering nerve that connects your brain to the core of your being. This is your vagus nerve. It is the physical superhighway on which the traffic of your emotional life travels. It begins at the base of your brain, travels down past your throat and jaw, through your chest and deep into your gut, sending out delicate tendrils that communicate with the region of your sacrum. According to polyvagal theory, this nerve is the master conductor of your sense of safety. When you perceive a threat, not just a physical danger, but the social threat of rejection, of conflict, of your truth being unwelcome, it is the vagus nerve that gives the command to your body. The first response is to shut down the system of social engagement. The muscles around your eyes, mouth, and jaw tighten. Your expression freezes. Your voice is caught in your throat. This is the biological mechanism of silencing yourself. You swallow the words. you lock the gate. But that powerful electrical signal of threat and freeze does not simply vanish. It travels down the vagal pathway. The command to brace, to go rigid, to prepare for impact floods your core. It lands in the deep basin of your pelvis, creating a silent, chronic state of defense. The tension that locks your jaw is the very same neurological signal that freezes the mobility of your hips, locking repressed energy into the sacred bone of your sacrum. Science is giving us a new language for an ancient truth. The trauma of an unspoken word becomes the tension held deep in the body. Pioneers in the field of craniosacral osteopathy have spent a century listening to the body's subtle rhythms with their hands. They discovered a profound, palpable connection between the bones of the cranium and the movement of the sacrum. They found that these two poles of the spine breathe together in a gentle, rhythmic tide. When one is restricted, the other is invariably affected. They observed, time and again, that releasing a deep, old tension pattern in a patient's jaw could create a spontaneous, dramatic release in their chronically tight hips. They were mapping, through touch, the very same energetic axis the ancient healers described. What you have been feeling, this direct, undeniable link between your silenced voice and your stuck hips, is not your imagination. It is your physiology. Let the weight of this evidence settle within you. Feel it as a profound validation. The ache you carry is not a random symptom of aging or bad luck. The impenetrable stiffness is not a personal failing. It is a precise, intelligent signal. It is the physical record of every time you chose silence over your truth, every moment of self-abandonment stored as a neurological pattern and woven into your connective tissue. Your body has been keeping a perfect score. And here is the revelation that turns this knowledge into power. The fact that science can now map this connection does not strip it of its magic. It amplifies it. It proves that the path to release is not just a hopeful spiritual concept, but a tangible, biological possibility. It means that by working with your body, you are directly accessing and rewriting the deepest patterns of your nervous system. This understanding ignites a new kind of trust, a trust in your body's capacity to heal, a trust in the ancient wisdom that has been waiting for you all along. The journey out of the prison is real. The keys, forged from this union of science and spirit, are now in your hands. The time for silent suffering is over. The time for conscious release has begun. And so, we begin. This is not an act of force. It is an act of listening, of gentle persuasion. Find a quiet place to sit where you can feel your feet on the floor and your spine can lengthen. This is the first step, the conscious arrival. Close your eyes and take a deep, slow breath. Feel the air enter your body, not as a command, but as a gift. With your exhale, consciously invite the muscles of your face to soften. Let go of the tight mask you wear for the world. Soften your forehead, the space between your eyebrows, the tiny muscles around your eyes. And now, bring that gentle intention to your jaw. Without trying to change a thing, simply invite it to release its grip, even by a millimeter. This is you, standing at the gate of your own expression, choosing not to break it down, but to coax it open. Now for the second step, releasing the silent words. Bring the fingertips of both hands to the powerful masseter muscle of your jaw, a thick band just in front of your earlobe. With a gentle, firm pressure, begin to make small circles. As you do, imagine that each point of tension your fingers find is a word that was never spoken. Here is the no you swallowed to keep the peace. Here is the vulnerable plea for help you deemed too needy. Here is the boundary you failed to voice. With every circular motion, you are not just massaging a muscle. You are gently agitating a lifetime of repressed truth. Breathe into it. Feel the tenderness. You are giving these silent words a way out, not through your throat, but through your touch. You are acknowledging their existence and in doing so, loosening their hold. From the gate, we travel to the prison. This is the third step, thawing the frozen center. Whether you remain seated or choose to stand, bring your awareness into the bowl of your pelvis. Begin to move your hips in a slow, fluid circle. It might feel stiff or awkward at first. Be patient. This is not a performance. It is a thawing. Imagine you are stirring a deep frozen pool of energy. The rigidity you feel is the physical form of every desire you denied, every creative impulse you judged, every passionate expression you labeled too much. With each slow, deliberate sway, you are breaking up the ice. You are reintroducing the memory of fluidity to a part of you that has been held in a state of chronic defense. You are rocking the foundations of your own prison, gently reminding it that its natural state is not stillness, but movement. The fourth step invites profound healing, the laying on of hands. Place both of your hands on your lower back, palms resting over the flat, triangular bone at the base of your spine, your sacrum. Feel the warmth from your own hands begin to penetrate the dense tissue. Close your eyes and visualize that warmth turning into a soft, golden light. See this light sinking deep into the sacred bone, melting away the stored grief and the ancient repressed trauma held there. This is where the energy of your silenced voice has been pooling for years, becoming dense and cold. Your focused attention, your loving touch, is a powerful act of reclamation. You are bringing warmth back to a place that has been frozen. You are telling your body, on a cellular level, that it is safe to let go now. Finally, the fifth step, the resonant bridge. Take a comfortable breath in, and on the exhale, release a soft, low hum. It doesn't need to be loud or on any particular note. Just feel the vibration it creates in your throat, your chest, and your jaw. This is the sound of your own voice, your own expression, in its purest form. Now, as you continue to hum, guide that vibration with your intention. Feel it travel down your spine, a gentle resonant wave moving through your core and into your hips. Feel it rippling through the waters you've just begun to thaw. This hum is a physical bridge. It is reconnecting the channel between your expressive center and your creative center. It is a declaration that your voice and your power are not separate, but two ends of the same sacred instrument. Now, be still. Simply sit in the quiet aftermath of these simple acts. What do you feel? Notice it. Underneath the lingering aches, can you sense it? A surprising lightness. A subtle, unfamiliar sense of space in your hips. A newfound ease in your jaw. This feeling is not your imagination. It is the first echo of your own freedom. It is the undeniable proof that this release is not just a beautiful idea, but a tangible reality within your own body. This lightness is the first glimmer of the truth. The prison was never locked from the outside. You have always held the key. Let this truth take root in the story of a man you may recognize, for his body carries a burden you might also know. His name is Michael. For years, Michael has lived with a jaw as stiff as iron and hips that felt like they were bound by a tight, unyielding belt. He moved through his life with a constant, restrictive weight, a physical drag that mirrored the deep exhaustion he felt in his soul. Emotionally, Michael was a fortress of silence. He learned as a boy that to keep the peace, to avoid conflict, or the sharp sting of rejection, he must swallow his words. His truth, his needs, his boundaries, they were all buried before they could ever reach his voice. This lifetime of repressed expression did not simply disappear. It became the unyielding tension in his body, the physical blockage that choked the flow of his own life energy. Imagine Michael now, sitting in a quiet room, deciding to try. He begins with the first step, the conscious arrival. He closes his eyes, and with a breath that feels foreign in its gentleness, he invites his jaw to soften. It is a monumental request. For decades, this part of his body has been a clenched fist, and the first hint of release feels like a betrayal of a long-held duty. But he persists. He brings his fingertips to his masseter muscles, beginning the second step. As he makes those small, firm circles, the physical tenderness is immediate, but something else surfaces. He feels the ghostly pressure of unspoken words, the sharp stop he never said to a demanding boss, the vulnerable "I'm scared" he couldn't offer his wife, the simple "I need you" he buried as a child. Each point of tension is a fossilized piece of his own truth, and as his fingers gently work the muscle, it feels as though he is disturbing a sacred, silent graveyard. His awareness then travels down into the prison of his hips. He stands and begins to move them in a slow circle, attempting to thaw the frozen center. At first, the movement is rigid, robotic. His body has forgotten the language of fluidity. But as he continues, a subtle shift occurs. A tiny pop, a release of pressure deep in the joint. It is the first crack in the ice. He imagines the frozen energy of every stifled creative impulse, every denied passion, beginning to melt under the warmth of his own gentle, persistent attention. He places his hands on his sacrum, the flat bone at the base of his spine, feeling their warmth penetrate the dense, locked tissue. Here, in this sacred place, he feels the true weight of his unspoken life. And then, he takes a breath and begins the final step, releasing a low, resonant hum. He feels the vibration in his throat, a ghost of the voice he so often silenced. With his intention, he sends that vibration down, a current of living sound traveling the length of his spine, connecting the gate of his jaw to the throne of his sacrum. And that is when it happens. The hum falters as a sudden, unexpected heat floods his chest. A pressure builds behind his eyes that has nothing to do with muscular tension. A single tear escapes and traces a path down his cheek. It is not a tear of sadness, not exactly. It is a tear of release. It is the grief of a lifetime of self-abandonment, a torrent of repressed emotion that had been frozen deep within his body, finally given permission to flow. The physical softening has unlocked an emotional dam. Michael stands there for a long moment, breathing into this new, unfamiliar space within himself. The iron grip on his jaw has eased. The restrictive band around his hips feels looser, lighter. But the real change is deeper. He stands taller, not because his muscles have changed, but because the weight of his unlived life has begun to lift. The silent, stuck energy has started to move. Witnessing his release, you see the profound twist in this story of healing. The freedom he finds is not just from physical pain, but from the invisible cage of his own silence. His journey from a frozen state to one of flowing emotional juice is not just his story. It is a map, a promise, and a powerful reflection of the liberation that is waiting for you. And in the quiet space that follows such a release, another voice often arrives. It is a whisper, cool and familiar. It may sound like reason. It asks, can it really be that simple? It suggests that the connection between a tight jaw and locked hips is a beautiful story, but perhaps just a story. It questions whether a few minutes of gentle touch and movement can truly begin to unravel a lifetime of tension. This voice is the shadow that follows the first glimmer of light. It is the echo of the world that taught you to disconnect from your body, to distrust its wisdom, and to believe that healing must be a complex and arduous battle. Listen to this whisper of doubt, but understand what it truly is. It is a form of fear. It is the deep, cellular anxiety that rises when you stand at the threshold of profound change. To truly release the tension in your hips and jaw is to confront the reasons it was created in the first place. It is to approach the silent archive of every repressed word, every swallowed truth, every moment of self-abandonment. The body built this fortress of tension for a reason: to protect you, to contain an emotional force that once felt too overwhelming to express. Your doubt is simply the gatekeeper of that old trauma, questioning your credentials, asking if you are truly ready to enter. It is the part of you that learned survival through silence, and it is terrified of what will happen if you finally find your voice. Let this reassurance settle into your nervous system. The body does not require a dramatic explosion to begin its healing. It responds to the quiet language of safety. This is the very essence of what modern science is now confirming. The slow, circular movements, the warmth of your own hands on your sacrum, the resonant hum of your voice, these are not just symbolic gestures. They are direct communications with your vagus nerve, powerful signals that tell your entire system it is safe to shift out of a chronic freeze state. You are gently persuading your body that the war it has been braced for is over. You are reminding it that the repressed energy of your unspoken truth is not a threat to be contained, but a life force to be reclaimed. The release happens not through force, but through permission. Trust the subtle shifts. Trust the unfamiliar lightness you felt, however fleeting. That whisper of space in your hips, that moment of ease in your jaw, that is the beginning of a conversation. It is your body answering you, saying, "Yes, I hear you. Keep going." Healing is not always a lightning strike. More often, it is the slow, steady melting of a frozen river. You are learning to feel the first drops of the thaw. And here is the truth that transforms this entire inner conflict. The voice of skepticism you hear is not evidence that this path is wrong. It is the very sound of the resistance you are working to dissolve. That feeling of disbelief, that intellectual argument against your own felt experience, is a manifestation of the stuck energy itself. It is the frequency of the lock, the vibration of the prison wall. It is the energetic pattern of your repressed expression, arguing for its own existence. When you hear it say, "This is foolish," what it is truly saying is, "It is not safe to be free." When it argues, "This won't work," it is really pleading, "Do not abandon the only protection I have ever known." Seeing this, feeling this, changes everything. Your doubt is no longer an obstacle. It is a compass. It points directly to the places within you that are most in need of your gentle, persistent attention. The uncertainty you feel is not a reason to turn back. It is the final, compelling proof that you are on the right path. It ignites a quiet, unshakable resolve. A new voice emerges from a deeper place, one that does not argue with the fear, but simply acknowledges it with compassion and continues onward. This is the voice of your authentic self, waking from its long slumber, ready to patiently and lovingly dismantle the cage, piece by piece, and to finally step into the full resonant truth of its own expression. And so you stand in the quiet aftermath, not at an end, but at a profound and sacred beginning. Feel the space where the battle once raged. The silent war of attrition waged against your own truth has ceased, and in its place, a stillness hums with a new kind of life. This is the feeling of your own authentic energy, no longer a repressed force pushing against internal walls, but a gentle, steady current flowing through an open channel. You have stepped across a threshold, not into a different place, but into a different way of being within your own skin. Breathe into this new landscape. Remember the jaw you once knew, the iron gate that held a lifetime of unspoken words. Feel it now. Can you sense the new softness there? The subtle space between your teeth, the ease in the hinge? That is the feeling of a lock that has been opened. The ghosts of silent words are no longer trapped there. They have been acknowledged, honored, and released. Now, travel down into the basin of your hips, the place that was once a prison for your own stuck vitality. Remember the unyielding belt of tension, the feeling of wading through thick mud. What do you feel there now? Perhaps it is a warmth, a subtle hum of potential, an unfamiliar invitation to move. The prison door is no longer bolted. The life force you stored there, the unlived passions, the untaken paths, the denied desires is not gone. It is simply free, free to circulate, to rise, to inform the very next step you take. This is the great reconnection. The energy that rises from the sacred bone of your sacrum, once dammed and frozen, now flows upward. A river returned to its course. It travels the length of your spine and meets the resonant chamber of your voice. For the first time, perhaps in your entire life, your creative power and your expressive power are in conversation. This is so much more than the release of physical tension. It is the end of the great internal schism. It is the beginning of a life lived in wholeness, where your deepest truth has a clear and unimpeded path to your voice, where your spirit's impulse to move is not arrested in your hips, but is allowed to become a dance. You are no longer a collection of conflicted parts, but a single resonant instrument, finely tuned to the frequency of your own soul. And right here, in this newfound peace, the final piece of the transformation lands. It arrives not as a thought, but as a deep cellular knowing that changes everything. This feeling, this lightness, this flow, this authentic presence is not a temporary vacation from your old reality. It is not a fleeting glimpse of a state you must struggle to attain again. This is the twist that redefines your entire future. You realize with a sudden, startling clarity that this freedom is your natural state. The tension was the aberration. The silence was the intruder. The stuck feeling was the foreign element you were taught to carry. This is your birthright. Let that truth land with the force of a tectonic shift. A wave of profound empowerment washes through you, dissolving any lingering fear that you might lose this. You cannot lose what is inherently yours. You have not been given a magic cure. You have been handed the map back to your own sovereign territory. You now hold the keys, forged from your own attention and compassion. You know the language of release. You know how to listen for the first whisper of tension in your jaw and how to meet it with a gentle touch. You know how to feel the first signs of freezing in your hips and how to coax them back into fluid motion. The journey out of the prison was not a one-time escape. It was the process of learning that the walls were never real to begin with. You are the liberator and the liberated, and the power to remain free, to continue this journey of expression, resides within you now, a quiet, unshakable, and eternal flame. This is your sacred ground. The quiet hum of your own integrated energy is the new anthem of your life. Feel how this freedom is not a fragile state you must protect, but a resilient and powerful current that now animates your every cell. The act of releasing the silent, frozen words from your jaw and thawing the repressed energy in your hips was more than a physical adjustment. It was a rite of passage. It was you reaching back through all the years of silence to reclaim the parts of yourself you abandoned to keep the peace. You have brought your own soul home. This liberation is now the foundation from which you will live, a life where your authentic voice and your creative energy flow as one, without apology and without fear. And now you must anchor this profound shift. You must claim it, not just in the quiet of your own body, but as a conscious choice in the world. Let the energy you've cultivated flow outward into a simple, powerful action. Signal your resonance with this truth by leaving a like on this transmission, an act of adding your light to this growing fire. To ensure you continue to walk this path of awakening, subscribe to this channel and turn on your notifications. See this not as a simple click, but as a commitment to yourself, a promise to continue listening to the deep wisdom your body holds. Your journey of release has the power to ripple outward, to touch those who are still living in the silent prison you just left behind. Think of someone you know who moves with that same familiar weight, who speaks with that same guarded tension. Share this healing path with them. It is an act of profound compassion, an offering of a key to someone who may not even know they are locked inside a cage of their own making. Now, take the most vital step of all. Come to the space below and join a chorus of voices that are rising together. Write these words to make you release a conscious, unshakable vow. I release the truth my body held in my hips and jaw. As you type them, feel the finality and power in that declaration. Feel yourself severing the last energetic threads to that old way of being. When you see your words appear alongside thousands of others, feel the immense strength of this communal bond. You are not alone in this. Each comment is a testament to a soul set free, a powerful echo of your own liberation, creating a wave of encouragement and unity that you can draw strength from whenever you need it. Your journey does not end here. It deepens. Click on another video on this screen to continue this sacred work, to explore another facet of your own incredible capacity to heal. Know that with every step you take, you are walking a path alongside countless others who are also returning to their vitality, to their truth, to their full and resonant expression. Carry this lightness with you. Let it inform how you walk, how you speak, how you create. You have done the impossible. You have dismantled the prison from the inside out, and now your real life can finally begin. If you're ready to take your awakening beyond the mind and into your body, there's a free presentation linked in the pinned comment that reveals a simple method to cleanse your pineal gland and support your activation. Open it in a new tab to learn more, then come back to continue your journey. We'll go even deeper in our next video.